Shang-Chi's family is in pieces, but when the going gets tough, family must stick together. Thus, it is time for the family to reunite, and that means everyone, including Brother Saber and the return of Sister Hammer. Shang-Chi issue number 10 is one of the most action-packed issues of Shang-Chi thus far, which is saying something, considering how fast-paced this series has often been. Gene Luen Yang continues to craft a complicated and compelling story for Shang-Chi. However, when it comes to this current story arc, issue number 10 largely feels like a transition chapter, yet the events which take place here will likely be important moving forward. Plus, the story also feels like it ties up to a couple of loose ends that have been lingering from previous issues. Now, the main conflict of this issue isn't the fight with the Tatawi, even though Shang-Chi and the Five Weapons do engage with the mythical creatures. Rather, it's between Shang-Chi and the members of his family, because at the end of the first arc, Shang-Chi vs. the Marvel Universe, he ended up leaving Brother Saber to the authorities, and prior to taking over the Five Weapons Society, he clashed with Sister Hammer. Long story short, Shang-Chi is not very popular with his siblings. Yang plays off this friction with Shang-Chi clearly being torn between letting Saber back into the society or leaving him in prison. The family drama continues to be interesting, and the action is thrilling and entertaining all throughout. And when it comes to the comics fight scenes, Tao is a master of his craft, delivering stunning art on every page of the issue, and he manages to capture each of the Five Weapons fighting styles, Sister Hammer taking up an axe and proving to be just as proficient with it as she was with her trademark hammer. Meanwhile, Brother Saber really lives up to his name by transforming his dinner tray into a pair of makeshift swords. The style is perfect for both the characters and the thrilling action, but the standout obviously is Shang-Chi. In perhaps my favorite sequence, he plucks a rifle from one of the vault guardsmen and basically just disassembles it into a series of quick movements. Each issue has featured a similarly impressive feat, and I hope it's a trend that continues because, after all, this is the Master of Kung Fu. Archlinga replaces colorist Sonny Chow for this issue, but his darker color palette proves to be a boon to the issue. The Forests of Canada take on a sinister green hue as Sister Hammer battles with Shin and his warriors. Likewise, a blood-red aura permeates the vault as Shang-Chi and his siblings fight the Tatawi. The color shifts in hue once Shang-Chi and his siblings enter Tao La, where things grow brighter and lushier, with enough vegetation to rival the X-Men's home of Krakoa. And continuing the connection between Shang-Chi and his siblings, Lanham continues to depict their speaking via ancient Mandarin and lowercase letters, and shifting to uppercase whenever Shang-Chi speaks in English. As a whole, Shang-Chi remains solid, and is a comic I look forward to with every new chapter, which plans to explore more of Tao La and the effect it has on Shang-Chi, Marvel's premier martial artist. Shang-Chi issue number 10 gets an 8.5 out of 10. Issue number 10 picks up exactly where the last issue left off, with the last of the monsters, known as the Tatawi, created from the blood of Shang-Chi by Chieftain Shin, in order to hunt down and kill anyone in Zhang Su's lineage. And this monster has tracked down Brother Saber at the Vault, a maximum security prison for supervillains. Now, Brother Saber has managed to weaponize a food tray as a blade in order to combat the beast, but that ain't gonna be enough. But fortunately, we see the arrival of Shang-Chi along with his sisters, coming to the aid of Brother Saber, who is struggling to keep the beast off of him. Shang-Chi kicks the Tatawi right off Brother Saber, but Takashi is still holding a grudge against Shang-Chi for betraying their family and siding with the Avengers. But it's here while these bros argue where the Tatawi has already tasted the blood of Brother Saber. Therefore, it's begun to clone itself into 3. Elsewhere in the British Columbia of Canada, we have 3 loggers cutting a tree down in the forest, which, is what loggers do. And out of nowhere, one of them gets hit by a whistling arrow that was last seen being enchanted with Jing Li's psionic energy. Shortly after, we have the arrival of Chieftain Shin and his Quinn Riders, who have followed the arrow that led them straight to Shi Hao, the daughter of Shang Su, aka Sister Hammer. And after Chieftain Shin introduces himself, he begins to rain down a barrage of arrows on her, but Hammer manages to avoid the arrows, since she's a badass. And in response, she begins to throw logs of wood at the riders, and with there being a shortage of hammers, Xiao takes the next best thing laying around, and it's here where she charges towards her grandfather. Meanwhile at the vault, Shang-Chi and his siblings continue the fight to Tatawi, but eventually the vault's guardsmen arrive to apprehend the intruders and the escapee. But Shang-Chi convinces them to let the Five Weapon Society handle the situation, assuring them that they are a force for good. Eventually Shang-Chi and his sisters are able to kill the last of the beasts, but instead of smearing Shang-Chi's blood on them like last time, which, let's be honest, was probably pretty difficult to do, the family tries a new strategy, that removing the Tatawi's masks. And hot damn folks, the plan works, and our heroes are able to eradicate the monsters. Now as the guardsmen praise the Five Weapon Society for taking out the Tatawi, they immediately turn their guns on Brother Saber to escort their prisoner back to his cell. Now Sister Dagger is sort of nudging her brother to, do what's right for the family and help free his brother. And as tempting as it is, Shang decides to hold on to his principles, and it allows the guards to take his brother back to his cell. Switching back over to Canada, Xiao is still fighting against the Quinn Riders, but they prove to be no match for Shi Hao, as she lunges at them with an axe. However, a frustrated Chieftain Shin fires a moon arrow at Shi Lao, severing her hand, which this pain is immediately felt psychonically by Shang-Chi. Yet despite being without a hand, Shi Hao continues to fight, thus causing Chieftain Shin to improvise, ordering his riders to retrieve the severed hand, because apparently the ritual that they plan to conduct requires the corpse of Sister Hammer. But seeing how tough she is, and she's making it just really a living hell for everyone, she decides that the severed hand is the next best option, and thus they escape through a portal back to Tao La. Meanwhile, Shang-Chi lets his sisters know of his vision of Shi Hao, hearing her voice within his mind, feeling her pain, similar to how his mother called to him from the negative zone. Therefore, knowing that Chieftain Shin swore to destroy every piece of Shang-Chu, including his descendants, Shang-Chi knows that leaving Brother Saber behind at the vault would be a death sentence, since the guardsmen suck at their job. And so from there, Shang-Chi takes out the guards and manages to break his brother out of jail. After that, we switch back over to Canada, where Shang-Chi rescues a wounded Sister Hammer. And thus, folks, we have ourselves an awkward family reunion. Picking up at the House of the Deadly Hand, we get ourselves a family meeting, and we have the Five Weapon Society doctors patching up Shi Hao, while the engineers install a bionic hand to her severed stump. Shang-Chi then lets her know that he was able to find her because of their psychonic link, and an ability which they inherited from their mother. And it's here where Shang brings Sister Hammer up to speed about everything. The truth about their mother, her status, and the backstory regarding their vindictive grandfather, basically letting her know that their family is even more complex than they imagined. Suddenly, this is when they are interrupted by Master Ling, who lets the Supreme Commander know that they have completed the examination of the vessel from which the Tatawi emerged from, and he tells him about his theory. For Master Ling believes that Chieftain Shin will create an army of Tatawi beasts to destroy Shang-Chi's family and anyone who bears Zhang Zhu's DNA. But with him having possession of Shi Hao's severed hand, that amount of blood will create much more powerful beasts, more powerful than the ones that they faced. And so Shang-Chi lets Master Ling know that this is the prime reason why they need to find a way to get into Tao La to rescue their mother and to defeat their grandfather. However, Master Ling informs Shang-Chi about the dangers of Tao La, the home of the gods, and not just the external dangers, but the dangers within, letting them know that Shang-Chi's obsession with Tao La was because it was a place of great power. So for his children, it will also be a place of great temptation, warning them to guard their heart, especially Shang-Chi, or else he might fulfill their father's ambition. To which we see Brother Saber remember the vision that he had of Shang-Chi bringing the world to ruin back in the miniseries in 2020. However, seeing that Shang-Chi isn't worried about any of that, Master Ling lets him know by using the Tatawi's vessel, which was forged in Tao La, along with the piece of the Quinn Riders' old stone gateway that Zhang Zhu stole way back in the day, they can actually open a portal to Tao La. Thus together, Shang-Chi and the House Champions of the Five Weapon Society make their way to Tao La. And picking up in Tao La, Shang-Chi finds himself being overwhelmed by a strange feeling. That is until the group comes across a palace, one even grander than Shang-Chu's. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Shang-Chi and his family find themselves surrounded by warriors. And from there, the warriors announced by the authority of the Jade Emperor, they sentenced Shang-Chi and his siblings to death. And Jade Emperor sounds like a badass. And that, folks, was the end of Shang-Chi issue number 10. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm your majestic sayer of words, SuperCliff. And if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button. And also hit that notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for issue number 11? What do you guys hope to see from Tao Law? If you saw the Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings movie, let me know your thoughts on the movie and what do you want to see in future comics? And until the next video, peace.